Today we're doing a quick flip on this little Ethan Allen dresser. It looks like it was bedroom furniture perhaps, and the top of it is very slick. It has like an enameled surface. Very well made, obviously, and some of the hardware is missing those little caps, and there's a few dings in it, but we're going to change some of the hardware. It's a pale yellow color, and we're going to actually make it a deeper yellow color. So right now I'm just removing that hardware, and that's the one that's missing that little cap. First, always clean the piece, and this is no exception. We're using White Lightning from Dixie Belle. It's a TSP based cleaner, and of course you always want to rinse it to make sure that you don't leave any residue that's going to keep your paint from sticking properly to the piece. Now I'm using some Dixie mud and just applying some very lightly to a few little cracks that are on the side of the dresser. And they're so minuscule, it's just, they're like hairline cracks, but I just want to cover them up so we make sure that we have a smooth surface. And the other blemishes that are on the piece get the same treatment as well. No major repairs necessary here. So now I'm using Dixie Belle's Slick Stick. It's a bonding primer, and as you can see, I'm at the bottom of the barrel, so I'm just kind of pouring it out. Funny thing too, I couldn't get the lid off to save my life. It was really dried and stuck on there. My bad. So none of the hot water or pounding in the world was taking it off, so I actually took the saw and I started cutting the jar, and then finally the lid popped. So, you got to do what you got to do, but I wasn't going to lose that last little bit of paint in the bottom of the jar. Every now and then you see me out of the paint, and you always want to make sure if you have any gummed up paint, maybe because of the way I left the jar, that you take care of that. So now I'm putting a first coat of paint on. I'm using the color Mojave. It's a beautiful golden yellow color. It's from the Silk line from Dixie Belle. It's an all-in-one paint that has the primer and the sealer built in. So I am painting the top. I did use the bonding primer on the top though, just because of the slick surface. So painting the whole piece, but I have a different treatment in mind for the top. You've seen me do this before. I like to take Tobacco Road in the Voodoo Gel Stain and Up in Smoke, and sometimes I use the Black Magic and sometimes the White Magic, whatever I feel like. Now I am working that gel stain, trying not to blend it too much together, but it is really blending a lot. So it almost takes on a pea green color, which I'm not loving. So I work with it, and then I decide I'm gonna let that dry and come back to it while I put a second coat of paint on the body of the piece. All those little shutters take time, so I was using Zebra brush, that triangle brush. So now I am treating those little spots on that drawer pull to match the ones that I have, those little cup pulls. I'm using gemstone mousse in amber, and then I use bronze gilding wax. And here on these decorative hinges, I'm just using the bronze gilding wax. I'm going to come back in with a little bit of black gilding wax on top of that. We're trying to mimic the look of those little drawer using those little cup pulls that I'm now attaching to the drawers. I use a really tiny drill bit, and the screws that came with it are super tiny. So what ended up happening, I did have my driver bit I did have one small enough, but the holes that I drilled were a little too big. So I ended up filling them with glue and then putting the screws down in. Some of them weren't drilled that deep that I was still able to get the screw to grip in. Anyway, we made sure that they had a solid hold, that when you pulled the drawer out, you weren't going to pull the drawer pull off with it. But as you can see, I struggled with this a little bit. Just so you know, we don't always edit all of the struggles out of the videos. We leave those in as well, because it wouldn't be a project if you didn't have some sort of challenge. Things don't always go as smoothly as we would like them to, especially when we're trying to do a quick flip like I mentioned I wanted to do with this piece. After applying a third coat, I reapplied the hardware. And again, I'm coming back in with that black gilding wax to make it look like the cup pulls that I was just struggling with. Just a little around the edges is all we need. And again, coming in and doing the same treatment on those hinges. Now that the top's dry, I put another coat of the Tobacco Road and also the Voodoo Gel Stain, and I'm getting more of that striated, darker look that I was going for. Remember how the piece looked when we started? Pale yellow, and the hardware was a little different. Look at it now. Like I said, not a drastic change, but definitely updated this beautiful, rich Mojave color, left the inside yellow, and I'm pretty pleased with this little flip. And it also has another twin that I'll be painting soon to match, and I think together they'd make a nice credenza. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, how about giving it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends? If you haven't subscribed, you'll want to do that so you don't miss anything. Visit us at LaVintageDecor.company, and on Instagram we're LaVintageDecor, and on Facebook we're LaVintageDecor Altoona. Stay well.